And in the next panel, it's my pleasure and honor to welcome Johann, to welcome Steen, to welcome Adam, and that's it. That's the four musketeers, which are going to speak about AI. Gents, why don't you say a few things about each one of you, and let's do it alphabetically so that we're going to have Adam being the first to introduce yourself. We know each other for some years. I mean, with all of you guys, but who's counting, because we're aging. And yeah, Adam, over to you.
Thanks. Well, hopefully AI might be able to help us unage in some way, but I very much doubt that. But look, as you said, you know, I've known for a long time now. My name's Adam Pearce. I run a Shopify CRO agency in the UK, and really, you know, sort of bought in many years ago to Valentin's philosophy around CRO, and great to be here. We as an agency, I guess, are navigating AI as our clients are at the moment. And obviously today, what I want to do is give you the perspective from both the agency and the brand or merchant side as well.
Super. Then, Johann, over to you.
I think we're going around age, it looks like. Yeah, I am. I've been, my agency, AWA Digital, also specialist CRO agency, been doing this for 15 years. The agency's been going for 15 years. Seen it change a lot in that time, CRO, and of course now, as Tim has already said, if you allow me a quick indulgence, I came out of university just as the internet became a thing. So people were just starting to get dial-up in their homes. And I remember the headlines in serious publications, calling it a fad, calling it hype. And right now, it's deja vu. I'm seeing that all over again. And I remember those days in the 90s. And I remember thinking, this is going to change the world. We have no idea what it's going to look like in 10 years, but it's going to be very different. And I think that's where we are with AI. To Tim's point earlier, I think there are right now tectonic shifts happening under our feet. And in 2 years from now, we'll look back and we'll be able to see them. And right now it's easy to miss, but that's, I guess, what we're talking about today.
Yeah, that's for sure. Steen?
Yeah, so like Johann said, yeah, I've probably been in the game if I look at the lack of hair and the color of my beard, or I've just been stressed out for a long time. I'm 19 years old. I don't know how. No, just kidding. So I started an agency back in 2005, and one of the things we specialized in back then was actually the conversion rate optimization. So going back a long time, and I remember at the previous agency I co-founded, before that, I read the first white paper from Brian Eisenberg where the term conversion rate optimization I came across that's the first time. So before he wrote any books, and it was like, hey, that's what we're doing. So it's seeing some of the massive shifts that's going on, and have seen them over the years. And I think maybe it's time for AI, because when I look at how easy it was back in the days when it was like a conversion rate based on everybody on the website, and then you optimize something based on that, how many factors are coming into play now. Now we need a super intelligent little brother to help us handle all the activities that's going on if we want to make sure that everybody gets full value out of it.
Super. So before we start, we are starting. This is going to be a conversation. We have a few questions that we want to unveil. As Johann stated, we don't know earlier before we got live. We don't know where we are going to end up, but I guess that's something like a principle in life. So the first question that I want to address all of you is, how do you feel? How do you think? How have you seen that the AI is redefining the boundaries of traditional conversion rate optimization? So are we optimizing the pages? Are we predicting the intent before the customers even land? Or are we preparing for the next, let's say, thing, which is not going to be a website maybe anymore in the future? So who wants to be the first to take this?
I can be the asshole that says, well, Valentin, it's everything. it's all of the above, right? Because technically it's really about considering aligning the different components. And so I guess the horrible answer is saying it's all of the above and more. It's also the stuff that hasn't been invented yet, and the stuff that Johann has invented but hasn't told us about yet, and all the other stuff that's just around the corner that everybody's working on, including yourself. You probably have something up your sleeve that you haven't told us about yet.
Mhm.
So I think that's the complication, right? So I think that the most overrated the promise of AI in CRO right now would be that what you see is what you get. And this is just the beginning. This is kind of like I think it was Johann who just said it when we were in the other room, saying this is as bad as it gets. It's never going to get any worse than it is right now, but it's certainly not finished. So,
I mean, I'd say on this point, I think, look, in terms of AI redefine the boundaries of CRO, I think one of the things, that I've always spoken to you about, Valentin, in our conversations is the understanding, interpretation, and definition of what CRO is. That has always, for me, been very woolly. And obviously, look, I haven't been in this game as long as you guys have, but I think it'd be interesting to see your perspective on that, because I think brands, agencies, tech providers, the term CRO we get bounded around many, many times. What does that mean to different people differs. And I think obviously then what comes with that is that we're now adding in this extra level of complexity with AI to improve what we do. But does it actually help CRO and actually the practicalities of what CRO is for, putting more cash in the bank for the longer term? I'm not so sure at the moment. I'm really at that point where I'm, the conversations I have, there is some great stuff happening, but I think it is causing a lot of confusion between, particularly with people that own businesses who are maybe looking at CRO again and saying, well, what does it mean anymore? Like, what do we need to do? What is important from a CRO AI perspective? So yeah, I wonder what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Adam, and I think that's actually a crucial point, because there's definition of CRO, what it means to different people. I think that's always been problematic in a sense, and AI in a sense makes it worse. It kind of exacerbates that. I mean, a lot of what I see on Twitter, especially on X, if you will, parading as CRO is not CRO. I don't recognize it. It's being thrown around as CRO, but it's not. And so, it's like moving shit around the page, working from a menu of listicles, that sort of sentiment. Now, if that's your definition of CRO, then AI will help you a lot in the wrong direction. So you can, and I've seen demos of several tools that promise to do CRO for you. And you look at what it does, you give it the URL, and it looks at listicles of, the 10 things you should be testing, and it basically acts on that. Now, to me, that's wasting money and, running out of steam, and, it's not even close. It's the antithesis, if you will, to CRO, but that's not a problem that AI introduced. It's been there for a long time.
It's just accelerating it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Validity, just quickly, your question on the boundaries. I think that the boundaries that I do see being redefined is roles. So roles within CRO, roles across the board, but let's talk about CRO. So I talk internally to my team about the full stack team member. Traditionally we used to talk about the T-shaped marketer, where you've got that broad exposure to various skills, adjacent disciplines, and then you've got your one leg, the one strength, your specialism. And I think that top bar of the T, that's becoming a lot more defined, and you're expected to be able to do more of the end-to-end, whereas previously you may have had your little niche, your little well-defined role. I think that's been broken down, and I see that around me, and I think AI enables that. There's a lot of dangers there, but I see that happening.
But I see that as well, Johann, in the sense that you can say that. So one thing is that it becomes more well-defined, but at the same time, I see a lot of organizations then going in the direction saying, "Oh no, now we have AI, and then we can fire some people," right? So your T actually becomes everybody's T. So yeah, So you and the three guys that just got, so you both have to be the psychologist, the developer, and the and the interface designer, right? So it's like, okay, cool. So that's I guess that's yeah, even not even a double view. It's something else.
One aspect which I think is important to focus on and to address together is this how the expectations are now inflated in the upper management around, hey, we have AI now, why don't we fix the conversion rate? Like, why don't you switch that thing over there so that we are making more money, because AI can understand things, can do it automatically, and so on. And on the other hand, what I wanted to ask you is what's actually working. I mean, we have this process of experimentation, which should be based on data, based on research, based on evidence. You have to have hypotheses. You still have to come up with an MDE, like the minimum detectable effect, so that you can demonstrate that the experiment is working. And then you do the actual implementation, you check it, and then kudos or not, whatever. What's actually working, guys? Where are you applying AI in your lives right now? Whether it's around the data, whether it's around experimentation itself, or analysis afterwards. Who wants to go first?
Yes.
I'll jump in, and I'm keen to hear what the other guys say. But I've been obsessed with this for before ChatGPT was launched. You know, we were playing with GPT-2, and if I look behind me, late nights and long weekends and every bit of free time that I had invested into this, it's this minefield of half-baked products and things that false starts, and there's most of what I tried to do didn't work, or sort of worked, almost worked. And if I put in another weekend, I could get it to work. There are, I mean, a few dozen very useful tools and very useful workflows that I've got that, you know, I use regularly. I mean, some of it's quite simple, but most of it, the vast majority of it, and that's still true today, even where we are with the latest updates, most of it doesn't work. And I think that's, you've got to kind of figure out how to use this thing, because it's brand new and nobody really knows. I can add some more practical detail if necessary, but keen to hear from the other guys, and then I'll come.
I think for us, you know, I'm very much a data guy, right? So for me, it's really going to the data, and for us, one of the things where we've done, which kind of trying to flip the thinking. It actually goes back to a long time ago when I started first talking to all these A/B test vendors. I was like, why the heck can't you make a software that when I run the test, instead of telling me which variation won, then you tell me what segments preferred each variation. And I think for us, that's kind of the thing we're going in, and then instead of using it saying this is not about if it's A or B, it's about saying what segments actually prefer each variation, and how much does that impact their behavior. And I would say this for us right now, this is very much a handheld area, because still it's something that we have to violate the data a little bit to make it confess, right? But when we have it, it's actually something where we can use it to do something that is simulated personalization. So saying, okay, so it's not, so our dream has always been taking this champagne glass and turn it into a shot glass by giving the right combinations of A and B, because say if you have 60% of your users saying, yeah, this is the best version, then at the same time you have 40% saying this is not the best version, but you're throwing away the 40%. Instead of saying, okay, if I can give the 60% the one version and the 40% the other version, then I can actually start doing something where I actively use the data in optimizing everybody's path. But this is, it's not something I would sell to anybody now. It's something I can entertain with, and I can show, and I can violate, right?
All right. Adam, what's your take? Where are you actually?
I mean, for me, it's there's two ends of the scale here, and the grey area in the middle we forget about. I think at the basic end of the scale, with that kind of, okay, the things that the e-commerce brand owners, particularly in my world, have struggled with over the years is, how do we actually provide relevant recommendations on site? What are the recommendations that we can make? There are a lot of very good now AI-backed tools that can do both, obviously, recommendations of products, but equally as well then personalizing the upsell products that are off the back of it. In my world, obviously, the key thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to get up that AOV to have an impact on the LTV in most cases. So that's, I think, one of the aspects that for me is working very well. I think the other side of it as well is, and I guess like Steen was mentioning there, is that level of going a bit deeper and trying to understand, but even more at a basic level. You know, one of the things that we did a while back is we said, well, look, one of the great things that we can do here is kind of do a very basic version of message mining where we are taking all of our maybe 10, 15,000 reviews, and are we then off the back of that pulling out then some of the key themes that we've got from it? Off the back of that then, what can we then do in terms of an A/B test perspective from a messaging point of view on that product page or wherever it might be? So I think it's those kind of like two ends of the scale where things are working very well. It's a bit scrappy, yeah, but in terms of being able to deliver something with an action, like Steve mentioned there, like that gives us what we need.
Love it. Yeah. Just to plug this in as well, we, as you might know, we've been crafting here at OmniConvert for the last 9 months this AI CRO benchmark. We are going to present the latest version, which was completely revamped in the last 4 months. But one aspect which was very useful was to apply the CRO principles into crafting this new product, which we've got a lot of feedback from the early users, which had to face the shitty first beta version. And one thing that stood out for us was, you know what, this is great, but what if we can process the actual feedback that any company can get through AI? And there's a lot of publicly available data, and that's how we've ended up actually building an entire, let's say, product offering around processing Trustpilot data, Google reviews data, identifying the main issues, comparing those issues with the competitors, because this is there. I mean, it's at your fingertips. You don't have to go for expensive McKinsey, whatever consultants to tell you what you should be testing out on your website, what you should be fixing out. Now the data is there. The problem is that it's not used. And for me, it was mind-blowing how many companies are not doing this. I mean, it's there. Why? I mean, you have hundreds or thousands of users telling you this is crap, fix it, and you ignore this. And what you do instead, well, you spend more money on ads to acquire more users to go on your website, which is still crappy, and you're not converting, and you scratch your head. And basically, it's mind-blowing for me how many companies are not doing this. So processing through NLP, the user feedback, the customer feedback is going to be default, hopefully, in the near future.
But I think you're right. But I also think it's the challenge is the mentality in the company saying that. I remember, and this is old data, but it's probably not gotten any better. There was this wonderful number that Adobe threw out that every time somebody spent $90 on marketing, they spent $10 on conversion rate optimization. So now they are spending $180 on marketing and $20 on conversion rate optimization. But the balance between the two channels are still the same, because they have to spend $180 on marketing now, because they have to buy all the marketing tools with AI as well.
Yeah. The beauty is that they shouldn't be that expensive. I mean, it's I just talked with our CTO yesterday. You know, we've been crawling the entire UK market. So we've got something like 10,000 websites, the top 10,000 websites, getting all their reviews so that we can compare, I don't know, within the fashion industry, which are the worst, which are the best, what topics are there. And it costs us something like 6 cents per 500 reviews which are being processed. So, and you don't have to process the millions of reviews. You could get the last month's reviews and you get the pulse of what's going on. So, and we are going to make this available for free for the entire market. So the costs are not gonna be that high to do this. You just need to, and I think that has to do with the acceleration of the AI, which is another question that I have for you, because the poor are going to be poorer and the rich are going to be richer. And that has a lot to do with the velocity of the decision-making system within companies. And I have this perception that CRO is not CRO, it's experimentation. And if you have this mindset of experimenting, you can experiment everywhere. And the next question is precisely about this. How can we leverage the AI and the experimentation mindset so that we can accelerate the business growth, getting off the website as a single channel to optimize? Who's taking this?
Yeah, so I think so what I see, and this is when I talk to customers, and this is kind of it's actually a sad trend because it's something that's going on right now. I see the challenge that we have this, you mentioned Bezos earlier, right? And you have this issue in relations to one-way and two-way doors, where the two-way doors is you experiment and then you can change your mind and you can redo it, or you have the one-way door that is just you have to be ready before you make any decision. And I think the challenge right now in business is that I see more and more decisions are being taken like it's one-way doors. People are really slow in making decisions. They really have to be sure that and hopefully you guys will call me a damn liar and say your customers are much more progressive and they like gambling and they like doing experimentations. But the main idea is saying that the experimentation saying if we don't know the outcome, then we test it and then we move forward on that if it's something we can change. And very often, but even in those sense, people don't like to get egg on their face. Even so that's kind of end of brand.
Steen, I wish I could say. Sorry, I was going to say I wish I could say that look, it was different in my world, but it's not. And I think this is why a lot of CRO programs can fail, because there's that frustration there about the ability to make quick decisions, and like you said, be prepared to fail. We actually worked with a pretty big brand in the UK here about 2 years ago. The reason that it failed is because it was generally taking between 3 to 4 weeks to get sign off on an A/B test. And the reason because of that is because it was going to committee through different levels of decision making. In a way, it was our fault because we actually didn't find the right type of client for a CRO program. Smaller, more agile, quick to make decisions, prepared, to make mistakes and learn things. But on the other hand, most of the people, I guess, that we're dealing with have come from that very structured. Okay, we have a marketing plan. We have to prove ROI in that marketing plan. But unfortunately, Kotler view of marketing is not really the way the world works anymore. But we need that catch up of the general population to go, look, actually, we do need to prepare to be able to test things quicker and actually prepared to be make mistakes. And sorry, Johann, I cut you off there completely.
Well, I think the other perspective to add here is, and I can't remember what you said, Adam, there that brought me on this train of thought, is that I paradoxically found that AI doesn't actually make things faster always. In fact, it seldom does. I find that it's you get better quality and you get to be able to do more and go further than you were able to do before, but it's certainly not faster. And I think there's this spectrum where on the one side you've got speed and on the other side you've got quality. And AI on its own is on the speed side. So you can speed things up really dramatically by just throwing AI at it, but then it's at the cost of quality, certainly at this stage. And so the balance, that's first question. And the second question is, well, what is this? How do you improve the quality? And in my experience, certainly right now at this stage, things will be different in a week from now. It's human involvement. So for me, it's most definitely, and this has become a cliche, and I'm happy that it has, is it's not AI versus human, it is AI plus human. And then back to your question, Valentin, I think that for me really is the answer here. In whatever you're trying to do, is one, the expectation of AI. You know, what can this really do? And then what context do you have to give it? Because I think your question was about stepping out of the traditional boundaries of CRO into, say, like offline optimization, or, you know, whatever you want to put in that adjacent bubble. Well, the AI doesn't have the answer. You have the answer, and in fact, your customers have the answer. So, you know, I'm a big believer in what Steve Blank said: is the answer is not in the building. Get the hell out of the building. And that's shorthand for speak to your customers, whether you're doing it through text mining, or you're doing it through customer interviews, or the range of things in between, and then put that with your business knowledge that you have and your product knowledge, your domain knowledge, merge that with what the customers are telling you, and use the AI to kind of bat it around, and then you'll find the answer. But the AI does not have the answer.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't. What it's a shortcut that a company that I've been working with has leveraged was to come up with the insights from a CRO endeavor. So to understand that, hey, we have so much data to process, and thanks to this data, we can change our website. But they've flipped it around, and they realized we have all this knowledge which can be processed by a vector store, and we can make it available for our customer support. We can make it available for our new employees so that they can find out who we are. So that is like having the intelligence, and I think in the future is going to be a very important aspect to capture the intelligence of your best employees and all that they've, broadcasted, understood, talked with their peers and so on, and to feed the knowledge base about who you are, what products are you selling, and so on. Because there is an untapped potential over here. Processing the data is one thing, but having what kind of data and the relevancy of the data to be processed, it's another thing. And that's what I see happening in the future in terms of applying the experimentation principles in other parts of a company.
Valentin, may I jump in? I agree 100% with what you said, and I think that starts now. You're already behind if you haven't started, documenting that. What I see working with teams is there's a lot of the knowledge, the domain knowledge, product knowledge, or business knowledge is tacit. It's sort of, it's soaked up in your brain cells, but it's the kind of thing that you don't even think about yourself. It's just there. And it's not the kind of thing that you would think of writing down when somebody asked you to document what you know about the product. And so the way I see this coming out is when teams work with the AI and they instruct the AI, and then between the lines you realize, but that thing that they've said there, it's something that they previously would not even have thought about. It's so deep and implicit. And so I think that's the challenge. I think you can get very superficial level of intelligence sucked out of employees, but there's always, well, don't say always. We don't know what will happen in next week or next month, but right now that's why there is this need for the human to kind of guide it, because of the knowledge that can't be codified.
Definitely. I mean, I think for me as well, I think with AI, a good principle that I'm trying to think about is a lot of people talking about it as being kind of a completionist tool, in the sense of, look, you can replace one thing with the other. For me, I think you can do the first 10% of any task, and you can usually do the last 10% of it. That 80% in the middle needs that human touch. I just don't believe that you can do fully anything with AI at the moment. You need that interaction with it. And I think the other thing, I think you make a great point there, Johann, as well. It's something that, we're trying to work on as well at the moment about, for example, if you have standard operating procedures, putting those into a custom GPT that can then be accessed. I think even on a brand level is that, look, you have brand guidelines, you have posts that have worked, posts that haven't worked, you have ads that work, ads have not worked. You can put all that information and data into a custom GPT and have that as a resource and telling the brand to go, right, this is a post, this is an ad that we're going to put out there based on the data that we've got previously. Is this probably going to work, yay or nay? Like just simple stuff like that, again, it starts that process, doesn't it, within an organization. I think there's no good as trying to, as owners of companies, and it's something we're going through at the moment, throwing a load of resource and throwing a load of videos and information, go and check this out, guys. Well, actually, let's try and solve the smaller things we're dealing with, admin heavy, repetitive tasks, and then let's build up to that as we go through.
So one of the things that we're working on now, and this is kind of just the basic stuff, but one of the places where we can see it helps, because this has been a challenge often, has been on documentation in relation to tests. What is the scenario? Under what circumstances is this test run? So going in and kind of making sure that gets baselined. Problem with documentation, nobody reads it. So what we use it for is basically what we're not using it yet. This is the ambition, right? But actually using it to see, can we get some level of aggregated insights across the test by combining them in a language model? Is there actually, what are we missing because we're only seeing each test separately? Is there something, a bigger picture that can actually be added by combining it? And then I think the thing that I recommend to most, and most people ignore, where we can actually see there is a future for AI, retesting, actually running the same test again over time to make sure that the result is still valid. So it can be saying, okay, cool, we did a test 3 years ago saying that this structure was perfect. Okay, let's try and test that let's run that test again. Even though we changed, it was perfect. Okay, is it still perfect? Because this is something that nobody in CRO thinks is a sexy job. Hey, Bob, run that test again. We ran 3 years ago. It's like, get the fuck out of here, right? Because we all want to do the revolution and the new stuff, and very often it's well, it's like repetition is hell, so why not outsource it to AI?
I certainly agree with this thing. So one aspect that I wanted to touch is how can, or do you think that now, thanks to this flood of tools, of let's say ways to process the data, a data analyst or a data scientist is not going to be needed anymore? Or and if that's the case, how can e-commerce brands can leverage this type of tools and this AI wave without hiring internally a data science team or a data analytics team? And I think Steen, this is your territory in particular, right? I mean, I'm actually asking you, will Steen have a job in the future for smaller e-commerce companies? That's in a nutshell.
Yeah. So so to be the devil in the room is also Steen will have a job, because we have the problem at the other end that is called data loss. That right now we're saying, hey man, I did an A/B test here, and 51% of 51% of the 40% of the user I have consent from all agreed that this was the best variation. But what about, but that's just still 25% of all your entire audience, right? So there will still be the need for nerds that can extrapolate this and kind of build it into a bigger concept, unless we can find a way where we either do not have to be illegal and run A/B tests across consent. So if people do not give consent, that we're testing them anyway, because So yes. But talking about the consented user, is that the main problem we see with them is that they actually have a different, the users who give consent are not representative for the users who do not give consent, which is a pain in the ass scientifically, because it means that we're skewered So if we build a platform that called Recapture that goes in, this is a Google Analytics thing, but it goes in, and if people do not give consent, they get completely legally anonymized and made only to a high-level statistic, but still to be able to what they see. And one of the main conclusions is that people who give consent are always lower in the funnel because consent is a question of trust.
Mhm.
So we are missing the people who do not want to get tracked are the people who are coming from marketing. So we get the people who are later in the process.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So,
so.
I'm sorry to, and that is why Steen will always be needed.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we focus a bit on the Q questions that we have on the on LinkedIn?
Just a quick one as a counterpoint to what Steen said, perhaps. I'm a little bit more on the hype side. I oscillate between feeling childishly excited about this and also shit scared. And it goes like this. I mean, things are moving so fast. So what you can do today wasn't possible a month ago. And you can say that every month for the last year. And if you go into, I mean, there's so many of these tools, but go into Google Colab, and at the top, you've got a button that says Ask Gemini or something like that. And you give it your data set and you tell it in very basic language without knowing the terms and the vocabulary, what analysis you'd like to do. It will do it for you. And it'll be decent enough. And I think that what Steen is referring to is quite right, is that, you know, having the domain knowledge and having that expertise, you can get more out of it, right? And you can catch it when it starts making errors, and it definitely does. But this is day one, you know, it will get better every day. And so I think that two things will happen. And I know I can't predict the future, but one, I think that there'll be fewer of the Steens around, and the Steens that stay around, and you can say that for Adam and Johann and Valentin and everyone.
Yeah.
Easy jobs will disappear. The easy or let me say tasks, the task within the job, the stuff that you do, the easy things will all be outsourced to AI. And Steen will end up with the real challenges and the thinking and the
the leveraging
seeing
of
what you
the
and I
data.
can't even. Yeah, exactly. And well, it shakes up everything, and I think the job market will look very different. There'll be new jobs, but I think a lot of our jobs will be gone. There's no question in my mind about it. I don't want it that way, and I must be clear about this, that the way I manage AI in my company and with my clients is, as I said earlier, it's human plus AI. I'm against the agenda that says let's use AI to cut costs, because I think it's the wrong kind of lens to look at it, and I think you'll suffer in the long run if you do that. But I think inevitably it is going to happen.
Yeah, and I agree. So luckily, Valentin only asked 5 years.
Yeah.
So in 25 years, I'll be a farmer. We all will.
All right. We have some questions, and I'm encouraging you, everyone that is live now with us, to ask questions, because we have a few more minutes left. So one question that comes from Vlad is the small companies are being limited on the amount of experiments that they can do because of their lack of traffic. Can AI agents replace the randomness of real users?
I mean, I've seen. My instinct is to say no, but I think I'm wrong in dismissing it so quickly. I've seen some very interesting and encouraging studies where, with simulated users, A/B test being run on simulated users. I think, again, it's day one. This for me is not really an AI question. It's a question of low traffic and what do you do on low traffic websites. And the principles are there, and I think it's applying those same principles perhaps using AI, but the principles remain the same. Don't know if you guys disagree with me, but that's what I would.
All right. We have another question from Dan. He's stating shopper behavior has changed and they have made new rules. They want everyday shopper feedback on the why to buy. How is AI going to empower shoppers to make better purchase decisions faster?
So one of the things we have seen, and this is we did a test for our customer in relation to using on-site behavior from micro signals to kind of be able to, we talked about segmentation earlier. So looking at your behavior on the site, what were you behaving and what, so looking at that and comparing it to the behavior of other users, then saying what was the information that you were actually looking for. So going in and serving signals that supported your decision process, knowing what you were looking for down the line. So even going into saying, okay, you were looking for the behavior you were having, and this is ideal, was showing you were looking for the delivery rates or delivery times, or it could be that you were looking for discount codes, or you were looking for things inside Excel, whatever, but actually being able to predict this from your behavior. So really giving you less options on the website, or giving you clearer options in relation to what we would, based on the behavior, estimate to be what we would supporting your journey the best. But this goes into kind of, it's cross between predictive analytics and conversion rate optimization. It's kind of.
Yeah, got it. So one more question coming from Tim Lavender. He's asking how long before business hire VP and directors that plan how we will use AI. He's stating that he's not seeing many of those on the market right now. So what's your take on this?
I think that I'll be bold and I'll say, I think the benefit we have right now is kind of the conversation we had earlier, saying that there's a huge divide between what the technology can do and what people are willing to do in organizations. And there's a risk averseness. So if you go out and you find 100 companies, then you're lucky if you find one company that is going all in and investing on utilizing all the technologies. Most of the companies will be conservative, waiting what other people are doing, wanting to see what happens first. So I think that's what's the reason why we're not seeing this, because it's too bold. It's a one-man business that does this, and then instead of being the CEO of the one-man business, then you're the VP of AI integration.
I think it's the wrong approach. Yeah, I think it's the wrong approach. It's dangerous. What message does it send? You know, if you're on a team, and I think the natural response right now is one of skepticism. What are you trying to do? You're trying to get AI to replace my job. And so what several research reports have said is that, and I find it with friends as well, that people are using this in secret. And I think the point I want to make is that this isn't something that's done top down, certainly not now. It's something that's done organically bottom up. The people on the front lines, the people at their desk doing the stuff that needs to be done in your organizations, they're the ones who are best placed to figure out how AI should be integrated and how to get the most out of it. And as soon as you try and force it on them top down, you're probably going to get the opposite of what you're hoping you would get.
Yeah. I think we've been having massive amounts of conversation where we're saying seeing AI as a simple technology project is where it fails. It's a change management process first. It's about the people in the organization and not about the technology. So if we haven't had the hearts and minds of the people, then we can buy all the technology we want, but it's just going to be ignored and maybe even sabotaged and abused. But it's most likely never going to show any type of return.
Yeah, super. So the last question is coming from Marek. He's asking if we are ready for A/B testing for AI agents that represent humans. I mean, I'm ready. I don't know about you guys.
I don't think there will be buy-in from brands personally, because it's hard enough to get buy-in a lot of the time from a perspective of real humans, from A/B testing. I think that there is still I think a perception out there. Look, the site isn't converting, the AOV is falling. What are we going to do? We're going to redesign the site, and that is still a massive mentality shift that we haven't got over yet. So for me, the thought of then doing A/B testing with AI bots, I mean, I think the skepticism around that is going to be even greater than it would be with testing with real living, breathing humans. Is my thought on that.
Let's assume for a moment we get there, and maybe we do. Again, we can't predict the future. Crazy shit happened in the last 20 years. So the fundamental law of one of the fundamental laws of the universe, shopping is done because people need stuff. And whether you are buying it yourself online, or whether you're buying it in a store, or whether you're getting a bot to buy it on your behalf, people buy things, or bots buy it on their behalf, because they're trying to get shit done in their lives. They're trying to solve a problem. They have, if you want to use the jargon, jobs to be done. And our job remains the same, which is to understand the jobs to be done. What are people trying to get done in their lives that brings them to your site, or that brings their bot to your site?
Their AI agents on the, yeah.
Exactly.
That's correct. Super. So, gents, it's been a pleasure, and I had an idea not by an AI agent, but I think we should do this more often. I really enjoyed exchanging these ideas with actual humans, passionate by AI and CRO. Thanks, Steen. Thanks, Johann, and thanks, Adam, for being part of this maybe first edition of the AI in commerce. Any last famous thoughts from each of you, really quick?
I think just looping back and saying it's never going to be worse than it is today. This is just the one thing we have to say. Tomorrow is going to be better than it is today, but it's looking at the value that it needs to bring, and not just the technology. That's super fast. Annoying. Okay.
AI for ideation, not completion.
Don't dismiss it. Use it. Use it. Break it. Try to do stuff. Fail. You don't want to be not using it today.
Super. So thanks everyone, and now we are going to have a really quick demo of one experiment that we decided to do. I'm going to get you off the camera and share my screen, hopefully, if I can do this. Yeah, all right. So 9 months ago, we've been looking at an experiment about how to improve the adoption of the CRO in the e-commerce landscape, and we've got this crazy idea. What if we could do an automated AI CRO audit, and if we could benchmark what's going on the websites without human intervention? And all in all, after a lot of great feedback, after a lot of insights from people which are experts in the CRO landscape, we've got to this thing, which is the CRO benchmark. It's actually a leaderboard. We've analyzed the thousands of websites, and then we've redid it, and we got to this particular thing. So basically, we are analyzing a lot of things on these websites. You can sort them out. We're going to add way more companies in the future. So let's look at how this looks like. So we have the CRO basics, which is basically 127 different criteria which is are being analyzed, right? So, and we can look at the ones which are failed, the ones that are critical, the ones which are high or medium importance. We also have the accessibility. We have the data hygiene, which takes into account what can be checked on a website without having access to Google Analytics for now. It's also coming up with the page speed insights, like where you are and where you could be. It's coming up with A/B testing ideas, and drum rolls, this is the latest thing that we've been building, which is called Brandfill. I let you know a bit about it earlier. It's actually processing the reviews from Trustpilot and from Google, and it's then comparing this automatically with your competitor. So you can see where you stand against them, but where you also stand against different areas for improvement. Like we have here for this particular website, which is called And Summers. We can see that they have 99 mentions on the customer service. They have mentions on the customer support, where they've got 2.9. So in a nutshell, what I can find out is that I'm doing this website needs some improvement when it comes to customer support, and their product quality is kind of good. So these are all being processed automatically from a tool which is like a standalone tool called Brandfill.ai. All of this data is completely free. You can download it as a PDF. You can run new audits, and then what you can also do is to look at particular aspects of your websites. You can see how you are doing throughout the time. You can select competitors' websites, and of course you can get this type of improvements to leverage these insights automatically on the things that are the most important for a website. So go to crobenchmark.com. For now, it's completely free. We still have seats available for the early adopters. All we are asking is for feedback, right? So help us to improve it, to make sure that this is going, this is the right thing, right? So we have this flag here to see that our agents are doing the right thing. So you have you can evaluate all of these aspects around these criteria which are being analyzed. That being said, I think I'm out of here because we're at time. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to focus on AI in acquisition, and I'm getting Alexia on the screen. Hopefully that I can see her, and I'm also going to stop sharing. So Alexia, over to you, sister, and thanks everyone for watching. We still have acquisition and we still have retention. So as they say in the at these famous TV stations, don't go anywhere.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Valentin, for the panel, and thank you for everyone that stayed in, that asked questions. I hope that this was an insightful session for you, and we will be having much more. So you just got a small taste of what we are preparing tonight.